What's up?
Any I don't know, man, any breaking news or anything going on around the country right now?
I mean, I don't know, I can't really. I guess there was apparently a shooting of
Well, there was a
some MAGA
shooting in
morons.
Denver. There was a shooting in Denver. I think it was at a school. Um, but oh, also yes, Charlie Kirk's dead. Oh, how terrible.
Oh, so sad. So sad.
I see all these people that are going on doing videos on live and doing interviews on different social media platforms, and they're saying that we shouldn't celebrate this because political violence has no place in America. And I just would like to ask each and every one of them, have you ever been to America? Like, I mean, this country was founded on violence. Um, it continues uh, to harbor and celebrate violence. I mean, there wasn't this much coverage of the Democratic legislator who was assassinated along with her husband and her dog, and then the attempted assassination of her neighbor, who was also a Democratic lawmaker, who survived. And we're not even talking about nope, the mainstream media who are just soundbite junkies. They're not even talking about what happened to them anymore. They're not talking about what happened to the person that allegedly grazed, Cheeto's ear. And, it was my firm, position at the time when word was being spread that Charlie Kirk was shot, was that, well, why is everybody so worried on the MAGA side? Won't his neck heal? The same way that Cheeto Hitler's ear healed? I mean, that's what I was thinking,
Immaculate
like,
recovery.
huh?
Immaculate recovery, like Trump's ear.
Yeah, the immaculate recovery. Um, so let's just get some of the facts down for everybody who's just joining us and may not know what exactly has happened today. While Charlie Kirk, yes, that Charlie Kirk was shot. What was shot while talking about mass shootings. He had just been asked a question about trans mass shootings, and then what do they think about other mass shootings, which are done primarily by straight white men. And then he made some snarky reply about, do we want to include gang violence? And then someone, allegedly, from what we were reading from all reports that are coming in, is that someone shot him from about 200 yards away. That's 2 football fields long, and got him, in the neck. Um, the kicker about all of this is that he was on a concealed carry campus where they allow concealed carry. And yet he doesn't the hubris of people like him who don't think that he can go around talking about the Second Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Second Amendment. Human lives need to be sacrificed in order to preserve the Second Amendment. Well, I guess he just proved that true, right?
Yeah.
Because he just lost it, right? Let's see, what are people? Oh, people are saying, "Hey, man, nice shot." Um, That's hysterical. I should have that playing. I got Wu-Tang playing Protect Your Neck in the background.
It just, you brought it up. That was in Utah. They're allowed to conceal carry.
It
What
was,
we
yeah. It
always
was,
heard.
it was at
We,
Utah Valley University. The
yes.
shooter was reportedly 200 yards away. Concealed carry is allowed on the campus. And Kirk himself has praised the presence of gun on college campuses. He's praised that. He said that college campuses should be able to carry guns. Brett, keep an eye on the comments for me while I'm talking, okay? So that if
You
anybody
got it.
asks a question and I miss it, um, let's see. He's insisting that allowing concealed carry on college campuses is a necessary safeguard. And okay, that's fine. Then where were all the good guys with the NRA is so fond of saying, there's the bad guy with the gun, it's going to take a good guy with a gun. Where was the good guy with the gun there? Well, in my opinion, the good guy with the gun was a guy that did what he did. But we'll go off what he said. Back in 2023, Kirk coldly declared, "I think it's worth to have the cost of unfortunately some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our God-given rights." And he called this a prudent deal, framing the sacrifice of human lives as an acceptable price to pay for gun rights. And now he's living proof of that. I wonder if that's what his last thoughts were. Was it, oh my God, I've been shot. Oh my God, I'm never going to see my family again. Oh my God, I can't believe this happened to me. Or was it, second sacrifices in the Second Amendment? I'm living proof of that now. I'm the sacrificial lamb for that. But if you look at it, it is kind of this sort of cruel calculus that values firearms over human lives. These ammo sexuals who fetishize guns, ammo, murder, killings until it's one of their own, right? Like,
Exactly.
there was during the Biden administration, during the Obama administration, there was all these, Second Amendment people talking about a tyrannical government. Here we are living under a tyrannical government, and yet where are they? Oh, they're all being hired by ICE. That's where they are. It's ridiculous. And the fact that he felt brave enough, the hubris that he felt in order to go to a campus that allowed concealed carry and thought that he was safe from spewing all of this bigotry and hate and nonsense. And then people come to me and say, oh, well, you're the tolerant left. I don't know where that myth got started. Like, we're not all tree hugging, granola, eating, Birkenstock wearing liberals. I mean, there's place for those, and may the gods love them and all that. But for people like me, I'm a fighting liberal. I'm a union liberal. I'm a Jimmy Hoffa liberal, or whatever. Like, you cross this line, there's gonna be consequences and repercussions. And Charlie Kirk is dealing with the end of that, as it says. Um, he's dealing with those repercussions right now.
Yep. And you claim yourself also to a liberal.
I am. I'm a Second Amendment liberal. It's not like, again, conservatives and MAGA conservatives think that only they own guns, or that they're the only ones that are mastery of guns. When I've got relatives who served in the military, who served in law enforcement, who were sharpshooters, who taught me how to shoot, who went to the FBI weapons training school, brought that knowledge back, gave it to their children, and I believe in the Second Amendment, but I also do believe in regulations, and I believe that those regulations should be as steep as getting your driver's license, as steep as getting, which isn't very steep. You got to take a couple classes. You got to be, you got to go to driver's ed. You got to get your license from someone who's going to be able to give you that license, to know that you know how to use that particular tool, which in this case is a car or a gun, perfectly. So, but here we are, this guy who goes around, he talks all this trans bigotry, this hateful bigotry, talks about that he didn't want to, he said something about, what did he say? He said, he said it's a cruel. I'm sorry. He said anyone who questions it, according to Kirk, lives in a complete alternate universe. Anybody that questions whether or not the Second Amendment should be allowed on college campuses and anywhere else, it just without regulation, is living in an alternate universe. Well, I guess now he is at this point. And despite all of these other things that he's talking about, where it's like he's attacking trans people for no reason, Mr. Little Thin Gumline. Well, not anymore, but he also has made several racist remarks,
Yes.
including about whether or not black pilots were qualified to fly a plane. He said, and I quote, "If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he is qualified." Now, those of us who know racist rhetoric and those types of things know that using boy in relation to black, especially a black man, that's degrading as well, but also disqualifying. Like, what the fuck is he talking about? If a black is this, if the pilot is black, if he's qualified, well, who is he the judge to make sure that I mean to make that kind of an assessment? It's just really, again, it's about feeding the MAGA racist base. It's about feeding uh, all the fears that, again, white America, which we covered this on the last podcast about how I don't consider myself white American. I'm an American Irish, not to get away from all the atrocities white people have done, but it's a term of propaganda in order to make it us against them, so that people who are in poverty or working class won't see that we have more in common than we do with the rich and the powerful and the politicians. It's to divide us based on how much melanin we have in our skin and that kind of thing. And also to ignore true American history. That's also very important.
I'm glad you brought that up because when you were speaking, I'm like, this literally screams the second episode we just did for the podcast.
It does.
Exactly.
It absolutely does. And this, the things that Charlie Kirk would go around, and I say, people like to say thoughts and prayers. Like, where are the thoughts and prayers for? I think it was Representative Portman, who was murdered in her own home along with her husband and her dog.
Yes.
When that happened, Cheeto Schindler didn't say one thing, not one word, didn't even address it. In fact, soundbite media has let that go. They've let that alone. Soundbite media is.
Or when Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked.
I mean, I think just yesterday he was Cheeto was talking about that as well, and Charlie Kirk also made a GoFundMe for the attacker who attacked Nancy Pelosi's elderly husband in their home with a hammer, beat the man with a hammer, and he started a GoFundMe for that guy. I mean, and people want us to have some sort of sympathy for someone like him, have some sympathy for his wife and children. Now, his children, okay, I understand that they're innocent, but his wife, she knew what she was getting into. She knew what he was. She was fine to cash them checks, and she was fine to stand next to him while he was up there with them big ass gums, running his mouth, talking all that shit. She was fine with that. So I'm not really worried about his wife or anybody else that supported him. His children, on the other hand, I understand that's a loss, and respect to his kids and all of that. I'm not that cold hearted. Kids are innocent, hate is taught, but this toxic ideology of Charlie Kirk's that not only glorifies gun violence at the expense of safety, he also condoned racism and dismissed human life as collateral damage in order to save the Second Amendment from being further regulated. When the Second Amendment was first established, we did not have a full standing army to cover all of the colonies and territories of the United States. Go back and learn your history, people. The British are coming. The British are coming. The Minutemen. They were like having people be ready in case the British decided they wanted their colonies back, and they did. They did want their colonies back. So what were the weapons at the time? You had cannons, and you had muskets, and you had bayonets and knives and things like that. But you didn't have assault rifles, or even like handguns where you could empty a 19, 20 bullet clip into somebody, in 2 seconds. Right.
Yeah.
So
there was always this thing when it came to the guns back then. It's like you shoot once, you gotta pump it up with the gunpowder, and then you got like 5 minutes to decide, do I really want to do this?
Well, and they
shoot.
I mean, they did it. They would go to the line, fire, go to the back of the line, and they got to reload, stuff the wad in there, then the gunpowder, the wad, then the ball, then get ready to fire again, boom, and then run around and get, I mean, what the Second Amendment and the one needs to be updated according to the technology that we have available now. And I don't, the people that that are veterans or law enforcement who don't support this, I don't understand why you don't, because as was brought up by they do not want just some anybody to be able to have a killing machine in their hand that fires projectiles that will actually, end a human life quicker than you can run away. If we truly love the Second Amendment and we truly love this country, we'd want to do everything we could to protect it. So, it's I think that it's important that we don't we don't martyr this fucking idiot, Charlie Kirk. Um, I think that we have to dismiss him as a product of his own racism, a product of his own stupidity, a product of his own bigotry, a product of his own living mantra that human sacrifice is necessary in order for the Second Amendment to survive. So that's how we should treat him. And we need to stop giving people like him platforms to spew all of his blatant bullshit and all of his hateful bullshit, because other people listen, other people hear. And again, what if you really study the history, and we don't have to go back that far. Think back to Reagan, when Reagan was shot. Reagan was shot with a handgun, surrounded by Secret Service, surrounded by off-duty police officers, and he still almost died. And all because some crazy guy thought that he could get Jodie Foster's attention. That guy's still alive. And the only time that Reagan did anything about gun control was when he saw black men, the Black Panthers especially, walking around with machine guns. He was like, "Oh shit, we can't have that. No, 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 no. White guy's fine, but black people no." But then he was shot by a white guy. You know, so the hypocrisy and sort of the social disconnect all about fear. It's all about terror. What the kind of I don't understand how these people exist living in this kind of terror. So I think it's time that we stop giving platforms to such recklessness, and we really start demanding responsibility, and we start teaching empathy at home and to our friends and to our family. And we need to, and until we can retake Congress and make a real change in this government, we're not going to see justice. But justice is needed. Um, am I going to be sad that Charlie Kirk is gone? I am not. I am not. I refuse to be.
Same.
I won't be guilted into it by anybody. Until I start to see the same kind of memorials, and I mean, even in Congress just now, they did a silent prayer for Charlie Kirk, not an elected official. Did Congress do a silent prayer for legislator Bortman when her and her husband and her dog were murdered in their own home? No, no, they didn't. You got something
It's
going on over
simple.
there,
It's
B?
always apparently one of my brothers cast aside they wanted to be on the fucking podcast.
Hello, Kitty. Oh, we always bring on cats on podcasts. But I'm not going to be guilted into feeling bad about Charlie Kirk when he came to the end that he always espoused for everybody else. He wanted someone else to die, not him. He wanted other people to be killed, not him. He wanted other people to pay the sacrifice for the Second Amendment, not him. And until that happens, until I start to see like Congress doing a prayer break for Portman and her family, or to the other legislator who was almost assassinated, I don't want to hear shit from MAGA or Republicans or even liberals, any of it. I mean, I even saw old Jolly Green Ginger saying that we don't condone political violence. This wasn't political violence. This wasn't. He's not an elected leader. He's a shill for the right wing, and he's making lots of money by doing these show up and prove me wrongs and all this stuff. And What do you expect is going to happen when you push people too long? You push people too much. You've got to expect that this kind of reaction is uh, is to be expected. Period.
Yeah,
Anybody in
and
the anybody in the comments got any good thing to say? Anybody want to argue with me? I'm down to destroy them.
oh yeah, there was definitely one person on here
Okay.
who said
Mhm.
this. I got the comment. This is from Edward Schrum. Interesting.
Edward
Are we
Trump.
going to yeah, Edward Schrum. His comment
Trump.
is interesting. Are we going to discuss how y'all spread hate and why we have a huge problem with mental health, which is causing our problems with violence, not our guns? We have a huge amount of laws.
Okay, wait. How liberals spread, how progressive people spread hate. Hate against who? Hate against white supremacy? Okay, I'll take that. Hate against what? Hate against, I mean, these people that say these fucking ridiculous things. Hate against what? Against fascism? Yeah, I'll pin that medal on my chest. Hate against white supremacy? Yes, I'll pin that medal on my chest. Hate against bigotry? I'll pin that medal. Hate against racists, bigots, transphobes, homophobes, anybody that attacks marginalized communities, ableists. Fuck yeah, I'll wear all them pins, man. No joke. But we're not talking. They're trying to make this an equitable situation when it absolutely isn't. Someone out there saying that people should die to preserve the Second Amendment, and that it's okay if some people are sacrificed to preserve the Second Amendment with no regulations at all, is the same as saying, yeah, we think everybody should be equal, and anybody that is a Nazi or a neo Confederate or someone who is um, uh, a, a racist or transphobe or homophobe or a bigot, that they should not have any place in the United States of America anymore, even though we know what this country was founded on. Um, yeah, there's no comparison. There's no cross collaboration there. You can't do it. You just, that's a sure sign of blatant ignorance on that part.
And someone here also wrote, guy's name is Crisp137. Charlie
Okay.
would debate you with class and show you.
Not anymore. He won't. No, he won't. Hey, listen, I've reached out to a lot of these jackass MAGA people. None of them ever wanted to debate me. I reached out to Joe Rogan. I've had my people. I've had my own people, my publicists, everybody. They reached out to Joe Rogan. They reached out to Bill Maher. They reached out to all these folks. None of them ever wanted to debate me because they can't. All they can do is just recite bullshit talking points and bigotry. And once you get past all that, like I said in the last podcast, they're a puddle. Once you stomp on that puddle and all the water's left, all the water's gone, is just muck. Once you get past the talking points, all they can just go is like, well, what about black on black crime? Oh, what about? I mean, it's, and then they're going to try to blame everything on gay people, on trans community, and on black people. I mean, the fact that he's like worried that a black pilot is qualified. Does he work for the FAA? I mean, who the fuck was he?
Exactly.
He was nobody.
Exactly. And it's
he,
hilarious,
he
you
just
brought
all
up
he
those.
did was all he
Yeah.
did was all he did was feed the MAGA racist base to make them feel better about how inferior they are. And yes, you motherfuckers are inferior. Sorry, go ahead.
And it's just because you brought up, they bring up black on black crime, ignoring the fact that every race in this country, when they are a victim of a crime, the perpetrator is someone of the same race.
Yeah, and then if you
White
do like
people,
the population numbers, how many white people or melanin deficient people are in this country compared to black people or compared to other marginalized groups, that percentage drops greatly. And
yeah.
it's just he did this to make money, and look what it cost him. Look what it cost him. Now, what are you gonna do? King Tut, man, can't take it with you. You know,
Exactly.
you ain't gonna be able to take it with you. And people are saying, well, why I'm so scared now that the right is gonna do something about it. Well, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Start shooting other people? They already have. They
It's what they
already have.
do.
We're the ones that have been playing peaceful. And they're lucky we have because we outnumber them. We're the ones that have been peaceful. We're the ones that have been trying to solve this in the courts, on the streets, through peaceful protests. We're the ones that have been trying to do that. They're the ones that have been going to people's houses. Like we'll talk about Portman shooting her husband, and shooting her fucking dog, going to that other family's house who were their neighbors, trying to assassinate them, going to Nancy Pelosi's house and trying to murder her husband with a hammer. What else do they? What else? What else can they do?
Gabrielle
What else can they
Giffords.
do? Huh?
Gabrielle Giffords. In the
Gabrielle Giffords is the exact way. I mean that's a couple decades old for those of you who don't know about Gabby Giffords. But before she was shot, and doing a sort of a not, it wasn't really a town hall, but it was a sort of a come meet your congressperson type deal outside. And then some guy walked up to her and shot her in the head. And then her staff jumped on him and wrestled with him. And then a good guy with a gun did show up. And when he arrived, he saw this big, 6 foot some odd, heavy set Mexican man wrestling with the gun, and thought that was the perpetrator, almost killed him. And if it wasn't for some little old lady to stop him, he would have killed the innocent. He would have killed an innocent man who was trying to take away the gun from the attempted assassination of Gabby Gifford. And that was one of her staff members as well, by the way, the Mexican guy. So I only bring that up. It's because again, these ideas of uh, of things that Charlie Kirk, these poisonous ideas, these toxic ideas that people like Charlie Kirk like to profess, end up affecting even people who have good intentions. They run up, they see a brown guy with a gun, with trying to wrestle away a gun. He must be the criminal. Instead of like, who is it? Who is it? Who is it? Ask questions, ask questions. Um, but listen, I'm not getting, like I said, by the left or by the right, by anybody, I'm not going to be guilted into feeling sorry for Charlie Kirk. I feel bad for his kids, their innocence, but I'm not going to feel bad for anybody else. I'm definitely not feeling bad for him. Not after all the shitty things he said. Are we just supposed to forget all that and tie a bow on him and just pretend that he wasn't one of the most, awful human beings to ever exist? You
Yeah,
know, uh,
that's what's always hilarious to me. Because when he's so horrible and now we're supposed to feel sorry for him, like I don't. Okay, he's dead. Oh well. Like
Hey,
this
yo,
it,
Chris 137 said he could beat me in a debate no matter what position I take. Sure, Crisp. Is it 137? Crisp
yes.
137? Okay, Crisp 137. Submit your topics in the comments, man. I'll address them if you like. You know, hey, NRA. That's right. I wrote that song for Generation Doom. What was that, Shelter in Place? I wrote that
Yes.
song.
No,
Um,
call 45.
yeah, was that 2017, 2018? So
$2018.
I've been writing about this for a long time. People tend to find it much later, um but I think that it's, for me, looking at what's going on in this country, it's they with the Supreme Court being compromised, with Congress being compromised, and now the Supreme Court giving um, ICE the ability to racially profile anybody because they're brown and they might have an accent. It makes you really wonder. I mean, what are we going to do in this country? We can't rely on the courts. We can't rely on Congress because we don't. I mean, we have to wait a whole nother year from now to vote in Congress, to retake Congress, to then hopefully try. Then we have to wait until the following year to really start making changes in laws and hopefully impeach, indict, and remove this fucking idiot out of the Oval. and then everybody he's appointed is gone too. I mean, yeah, okay, if we can have that much patience, but until then, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?
Exactly. Well, apparently, Crisp has asked a
What?
question.
Okay.
Crisp137 has asked, "Why did Charlie get shot?"
I don't know the shooter's motives, but I know that if you go around and you start and you speak about shit the way that he speaks, and you degrade people, and you call for basically their eradication. I mean, as Malcolm X is famous for saying, sometimes the chickens come home to roost. He became the product of his own bullshit. He said it's necessary to have human sacrifice to protect the Second Amendment. Well, now he is one. So there you go. I don't know the shooter, so I can't give a reason why, but I can tell you that if you go around and you're speaking these horrible things, you're a racist, you're a bigot, you're he lies for a living, literally lies for a living. Like, what you think's gonna happen, bro? Like, like you jump into a lime pit covered in meat. What do you think's gonna happen? I mean, eventually somebody's gonna get tired of that shit and be like, yo, this is not. We're not. They're gonna follow in the long tradition in America of handling business in a way that again, this was not a political assassination, and I can't stress that enough. Until again, Congress did they under Mike Johnson, who's this little Keebler elf who adopted a little kid who he lives with. I don't, it's There's all kinds of weird shit going on in that world, but it's a party that protects pedophiles. It's a party to protect nonces. It's a party that said the Epstein files didn't that existed and they didn't exist, and it was Cheeto was a FBI informant, then he wasn't, and now that wasn't his real signature. I mean, they can't keep all they're doing is protecting pedophiles, and you got people on here who are defending him, defending the party of pedophiles, defending someone who was probably killed by a straight white male, and but in while he's out here spewing all this hate against gay people, trans people, and black people, and people of marginalized communities. I mean, what the fuck? Like, again, I don't know why he was killed, but it does not surprise me with the things that he has said.
And just to go a little further on stuff you even said, Trump stated that if people go to try to get the Epstein files released, it will be considered a hostile act against him and his administration. If he didn't do
Yeah,
this
and
and it's
but
all a lie, why is it
right.
hostile?
Yeah, exactly. If somebody accused me of some shit like that, I'd be like, release everything, because I'm innocent. But instead, he's not. We all know he's not innocent. Even MAGA knows he's not innocent. They just don't want to believe it. They don't want to believe that they were wrong. There's
I mean,
there's
even
there's there's, there's too much narcissism, too much egotistical bullshit in their world. They can't, because if they agree that if they decide to agree that, oh yeah, we were wrong about the guy was a nonce and sexually assaulted children, um then what else am I wrong about? And people have a really hard time accepting when they're wrong and what they're wrong about. um so I if that's your idea, Chris 137, of debating me and winning against me, asking me why he was shot, bro, you in the wrong league, homie. You still playing in the minors. Now you're playing with the majors. You need a little more practice. You should probably take it like
yeah.
a debate class, maybe read a book. If you can't read a book or three. But other than that, you know, as I'm very fond of saying, you brought a fork to a tank fight, homie. All right, what else do I got? What else is going on in the text?
So far, everything else other than that,
No one
we
deserves to be
had.
attacked or killed for their speech, says. Yeah, okay, well, how about don't answer, Brett, until I find stuff that is actually stuff worthy talking about because you missed it. Oh, Brent.
That was my
But did
bad.
you
They
give the
quit. I could quit.
reason? But you also don't know why he was killed. No, I don't. I don't know. But I can tell you that based on his rhetoric, Chris 137, thank you for saying anonymous, by the way. I'm not. Everybody knows who I am. But you can hide behind your anonymity and not risk your job or not risk your friends or your family or any of that shit. So you can hide behind your real name and where you're from. But I'm out here doing what I do as a public figure and doing it without fearlessly, just like that. So let's see.
There's a Larry Dell who just wrote, "How the hell do you know it wasn't a political assassination?"
Why did well, hold on a second. Let me go back. Hold on. Bros over here trying to replicate the debate method from the South Park episode a few weeks ago. That's funny. Okay, except for those calling this eradication of others on a discriminated basis. He was killed in self-defense. That's interesting. I actually agree that Trump was probably on the list. Well, he is on the list. We know he's on the list. It's not agreeing. He's not probably. He is. He's on the list. Just look it up. They've already released the list. All you have to do is read the documents. There's actually photos. There's like letters from Trump. There's actually one in there that says that that Trump bought a child for $22,000 who Epstein had considered disposable. So, I mean, it's there. This is one of the biggest presidential cover-ups, political cover-ups in our history. And when the truth finally falls on everybody, it's going to be one of the biggest scandals in American history.
Also,
Mhm.
there was a woman who, under Jane Doe or anonymity, that tried suing him, stating she was assaulted by him when she was 13, and only went away because Trump's MAGA morons found out her identity and were apparently threatening her life, and she dropped the
Yeah,
case. Really, this
yeah,
was
and
during his first run.
that's right.
When
Yeah,
the,
and they did that. They did that deliberately to keep it. And of course, mainstream media, who are basically just a bunch of soundbite junkies now, didn't follow up on it. If it was Biden, they would have, but Biden didn't do any of this shit. But people say, well, what happens if Bill Clinton's on the list? Well, Bill Clinton needs to go to fucking prison. If it's proven that he had sex with underage girls, he needs to go to jail. As a liberal, as a lifetime liberal who voted for Hillary Clinton, who is a big supporter of Hillary Clinton. If her husband is on that list, and I'm sure she'd agree, that dude needs to go. And he doesn't need to be playing pickleball with Maxwell wherever little fucking country club prison she's at now. Again, why would he? None of this, like, again, all your arguments, yo, you MAGA idiots, and your arguments are fucking stupid because why would he move Maxwell, who was a known human trafficker, from this federal penitentiary to a pickleball, white bread, penitentiary where she's, having living out the rest of her days? Why? Because she's got proof. She's got the proof. And this is instead of just pardoning her outright, she just moved to someplace, and he's probably going to get to it in a little bit longer, just so that until he's hoping things kind of die down now. But it's not. Someone did ask, yes, how do I know that it wasn't a political assassination? I don't even understand the root of that question. How do I know it wasn't a political assassination? Who would benefit from that? Who would benefit from Charlie Kirk getting assassinated? But again, it's not a political assassination because he's not a person of politics. He's a grifter who makes money off of bigotry. So who would benefit from it being, even if he was running for office? Okay, I get it. Who would, in that way you could call it political assassination, but who would benefit from the death of little big gum line Kirk? I don't know. Sorry, I'm missing some of it.
we
Don't
s-
lump all Republicans together. There are enough of us who also want the list to be released. Okay, then why are you still a Republican? Because the Republican Party is hiding and helping hide and helping to protect pedophiles, nonces, short eyes, whatever you want to call them. Why would you still consider yourself a Republican? Why? That you're the party of John McCain and even George W. Bush, who I can't stand. I mean, I respected McCain a little bit more than, obviously a lot more than I did Bush, but because of his service and all that. And I come from a law enforcement family, so of course I did. But he was a decent man. We may not have agreed on everything, but he was a decent man. But why would I lump all Republicans in? Because you guys are the ones that are supporting him. You're supporting you're supporting him. You're supporting a party that's protecting him, actively protecting him, lying about whether or not the Epstein list existed at all, lying about this, lying about that. Okay, fine. You can stay a Republican, but then be vocal about it. Be out and about. Maybe you are, and I don't know, but um, we need a
Even
third party. Well, someone says we need a third party. I think we probably do, but we need a third party that isn't like the Green Party who just jumps into the presidential race every 4 years. We need a
Jill
party that
Stein.
Jill Stein's a Russian asset. I ain't worried about her. But there are other people that did the same thing. Instead of trying to build a political party from the ground up, that's what you need, because all a rising tide lifts all boats, right? So we need a political party that not only starts from the bottom, where they're joining city councils, state legislatures, they're running for mayor, they're running for governor, they're running for Congress, so that they can start building political capital. So then, instead of just showing up and going, "We're the Green Party, vote for us. We're the opposition to the other two." But what are you based on? What political capital do you have? What laws have you passed? What amendments have you passed? What have you done to help the American people other than to show up and say we're better than the other guys when you have nothing to show for it? Zero, other than your ideas. Like, what have you done? Like in the ancient, and I use this a lot in the Roman world. Um, Deeds, not words. You can say anything the fuck you want. People say shit to me all the fucking time, but then I ask like, what have you done? What have you done? Oh, well, nothing yet, but I plan to. Okay, well, until you do something, be quiet. I do agree we need a third party. It would be great. I'd love if we had 5 parties in this country, but we need to start. They need to start from the bottom up, not go top
I
down, bottom up.
I
Build
100%
your
agree.
party, build your party organically, and start in places where you're needed most. And typically, political parties do most, not all, but do most of their work at the community level. And that's why you need to know who's on your city council, who's your sheriff, who's your mayor, who's your district attorney, who's the state district attorney, who's your state legislatures. We need to start from the bottom up. Again, a rising tide lifts all boats, so you have to start from there, build political capital so you can have something to say, like we passed this bill, we were able to eradicate this bill, we were able to protect these people, we were able to do away with this, we were able to do that. And then you have an actual opportunity to build something that is going to last for a long time. And but this does lead me to another thought about the institutionalists. I'm a liberal. I don't necessarily consider myself a Democrat, but I am a liberal. And one of the things that I think we do need to do is get rid of all the institutionalist Democrats. I have so much respect for President Biden. I have so much respect for President Obama, but I disagreed with them on a lot of things, many, 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 many things. And that, again, I think that's one thing that a lot of people need to understand, is that being in politics is not, it's not like a favoritism, like would you go to prom with this guy, like that's not, or this lady. It's not that. It's, dude, it is what they're running on, the platforms they're running on. Is that better for your family and the families of your neighbors and your communities? It make it better? And then and if you agree with them, but then they deviate, we can fire them and the next time voting comes up. But that's what it has to be on. We can't be purists. We can't be political purists anymore. We can't. We just absolutely cannot. Or we're going to be destined to be ruled by our inferiors like we are right now forever. So we need people that to stop being purists, and we need to get rid of all the institutionalist Democrats. And that includes, like, again, I really had a hard time with President Biden over Merrick Garland. I thought that as soon as Merrick Garland decided that he was an institutionalist, he wasn't going to buck. prior this and prior that, and and um, and go after a former president who tried to incite an insurrection on January 6th and overthrow the United States government, who is now saying that who's selling merch out of the fucking Oval Office, who's selling Bibles that he signed for $100, who has a merch store inside the Oval Office. Is It blows my mind, and has a crypto scam where he's made hundreds of billions of dollars. Plus, he's getting planes donated to him by foreign countries, which he can keep after he leaves office, which is a violation of the Hatch Act. And if we had a Congress that was not just totally licking his loafers, they would be pulling back on that, right? And that's why we need to vote next year to reclaim Congress and get rid of institutionalist Democrats where we can, so that we have real fighters in there, like my governor Gavin Newsom, like uh, in
Jasmine
Texas,
Crockett.
you have Jasmine Crockett, um, and there's so many others. There's so many others. There's the governor of Pennsylvania. There's the mayor of Chicago. I mean, your governor, she's doing a fantastic
Yes.
job in New York. We need more of those folks who are saying, like, you know, when it used to be when they go high, we if they go low, we go high. When it's not that we can't fight like that anymore. And I think even Michelle Obama has changed her stance on that. It's like, no, if they take us, if they're on the battlefield, we go to the battlefield. If they go to the sewers, we're going to the sewers. You know, if wherever they go, we will meet them head on, and we outnumber them, and we've
Yes,
proven
we do.
that statistically. Even in red states like Texas, we were just talking about Texas. Texas, there are 2 million more registered Democrats than there are Republicans. They're just convinced that it is a red state, so a lot of them just don't vote because they don't think their vote's going to matter. And of course, it doesn't make it any easier that Texas Republicans are making it almost impossible for Democrats to vote in Democratic. They've gerrymandered the shit out of that state, and also, like I think Harris County, which is one of the largest blue counties in all of Texas. They had one early mail-in drop-off place, one for like 3-4 million people. So um, it's important that we remember who we are. We're not a conservative country. When Cheeto ran the first time against Hillary, he lost the popular vote by almost 3 million votes. He was selected by the Supreme Court for what the Russians did to the Electoral College, which is a relic of slavery. So why are we still hanging on to that? Because it's a relic from the days of slavery. But also, and then he lost to Joe Biden by nearly 8 million votes. And then it's it's my position and the position of many other people who are much smarter than I am, who believe that this last election was stolen, because guess what? Cheeto Schiller has admitted it 6 times. 6 times. And Elon Musk or Leon Scum, whatever his name is, he's admitted it. He's admitted it. And do any of the mainstream media follow up on that? No. No,
No.
they don't. Because they're too afraid of getting kicked out of the White House pool or whatever. I mean, they should be, real. That's why I'm saying, like, real journalism is dead. That's why citizen journalism is taken off. Mainstream media is all about the soundbite and what they can play. They're not really going after the stories. And I'm sure there are a few that are still doing it, but for the most part, it is. Someone mentioned something about MSNBC or it being a liberal, blah blah blah. No, it isn't. MSNBC isn't anymore. I don't watch MSNBC anymore. MSNBC is owned by a Trump supporter. He's a billionaire Trump supporter. So it's really up to us to decide, like, where we go from here, and what are we willing to risk, and what are we willing to do to save our democracy from another confederacy, which is what they want to build. Gilead, whatever you want to call it, fascism, whatever. This totalitarianism that's slowly creeping in. That is, again, in our last podcast, Brett, you brought up that great poem about, they came for this they came for this group of people, and I didn't speak because I wasn't that group of people. They did it, and they did it, and they did it until finally they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. And that's what we have to do. That's what we have to do as a society who cares about democracy, is that we have to stop this this well, if it doesn't apply to me, then I don't care, or it's not really my business. I shouldn't really say anything. I really shouldn't get involved because you know what? But they're not going to stop with you. They're gonna come for me because I'm a woman and I'm a lesbian. They're gonna come for Brett because he's disabled, and he's a liberal and he's outspoken. I mean, they're gonna come for everybody who disagrees with them once if they're given the shot. And we have to stop them from being able to attain that power. And it's very difficult when we have a Supreme Court that is compromised and a Congress that's compromised. You know, the founding stepfathers did have this sort of kind of a good idea that I'm sure they borrowed from somebody else, but they have, you know, we have three co-equal branches of government. The White House doesn't sit on top of the tip of the spear. It's three co-equal branches of government. But unfortunately, I don't think the founding stepfathers ever saw or had the foresight to imagine that all three branches would then succumb to another king because they were so against that in the first place. I think we even mentioned it in the last podcast that they offered George Washington to be chancellor for life in America, and he turned it down. He turned it down because he's like, that's not what we fought for. We fought to get rid of the king. I don't want it. So I'm sorry, I'm missing stuff like this.
So I saw someone. There are two things, two previous comments. This one's by Amos A. Gregory Jr. The 13th Amendment. We never abolished slavery. We just changed how people view it. I still believe in the people of America and our Constitution. Can't say much for the government at this time.
And that's true. I mean, if you do read the 13th Amendment, and I can't recall it verbatim, but basically it just says that yes, people are free except if they're in prison, then they can be used for slave labor. And you wonder why. I mean, and then it begs the question why there are more. Or and I haven't checked the numbers lately, but the last time I did it, there are more black men in prison than there are in colleges, even when they're stacked up against melanin deficient white men committed, charged with the same crime. It's the black men who end up going to prison. It's the people who are in marginalized communities who have melanin that end up going to prison, while other people get a slap on the wrist or whatever kind of help they need. So at this point, again, I think we've spoken long enough, and I appreciate everybody for joining us. I know somebody mentioned earlier, like you're in a bubble. You only have 30 people watching. Yeah. Well, this is the middle of the day, all that stuff, and that's fine. You believe what you want to believe, and you keep telling yourself that so you can make yourself feel better. But the truth of the matter is, a reckoning is coming, and for those of you who are on the wrong side of that reckoning, I won't feel sorry for you. I just won't. With that said, I do send my condolences to Charlie Kirk's children. I don't send, but that's as far as my empathy for that pile of dog shit ends right there. So thank you everybody for watching our live stream. We rarely do this, but this was important to come on and do it. In the meantime, check out our two previous episodes. We're going to be recording a third one very soon. And I really just want to say thank you to everybody for all of your love and your support. And it really matters. Remember to take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Until next time. Fuck Trump.